So I came up here in the comm center, and it's during my lunchtime. That's like my favorite time. I just come here all the time. And I got my peanut butter crackers, and then Mr. Doyle told me that we don't have a transition for the graduation project. However, when we did it, we messed up. So we recorded the out parts of the graduation project, but we didn't record the actual like making of the transition. So since we messed up the graduation project transition, I might actually fail my graduation project because of it. But either way, you can see the out parts of the transition. So why don't you go check them out, and then we'll lead right into the graduation project.
I'm Tori Purcell, and I'm here with Mr. Schmelbach to talk a little bit about the graduation projects. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm great. So what are the graduation projects?
Commonwealth of Pennsylvania requires that students who graduate from high school have to meet a certain number of different requirements. And one of the requirements is that the senior complete a graduation project of some design.
So what should they consist of?
It's really up to the person that's doing it. The way that the state defines it is they need to do a project. So the way we've interpreted that is that the point of the project is to show what a student has been able to do over 4 years in terms of their ability to express themselves both in writing and then verbally in the form of a presentation. So topic-wise, it's almost beside the point what you choose, because as long as you're able to intelligently discuss what it is you're interested in, we want people to choose something that they are interested in, not just a random topic to get the project done. So we've had people do research on things that are of interest to them. We've had them do volunteer things in community, write about that. We've had them design benefits for organizations to raise money and discuss how that works. It really goes all over the place.
So who has to complete these projects?
Any senior, in order to get a diploma in Pennsylvania, has to complete a graduation project. It is a part of the Chapter 4 regulations that outlines graduation requirements.
So why are these projects important?
Well, it depends if you think a diploma is important. So in that sense, they're very important because they are something that the state says you need to complete. On the other hand, it's also, I think, important that students be able to do something like this because it really does show your ability to express yourself, to be able to talk intelligently on a particular topic, to find information, to present that. All skills that are going to be important in college, in career, and so on.
Right. So when do they need to be turned in?
This year, the due date for the written portion of the paper is Monday, December 8th, and those get turned into the library to me.
Okay. So when are the presentations?
Presentations will not be until March. The paper comes in first, we get that checked out, make sure everything's satisfactory with the written portion, and then students can continue to work on and then finish the presentation and then the visual that goes along with it, because one other requirement of the presentation is that you have something visually to support what you're talking about, whether that be some video clip or a trifold display or a PowerPoint or something that presents the information in a visual format that you use along with the presentation.
Okay. So how will students find out when their time slot is?
Well, once we have everything in and checked off as far as the paper goes, then we go through, we use time slots during the school day and some time that co-planning time that teachers have. We steal a little bit of that in order to set up groups to do these presentations over about 4 days. So what will happen is in the beginning of March, everyone will get a notice that tells them exactly what day and what time that they need and where they need to be in order to do the presentation.
Okay. So what is the setup for the presentations?
You'll get a slip, it tells you where to go, and the rooms will have either a smart board or a projector or something available if the presentation involves, like a PowerPoint or something. Otherwise, the teachers will be there 2 or 3 to do the evaluation. There's a rubric that goes along with it, and the person comes in and does the presentation.
So who judges them?
All teachers across the building are used as evaluators for it, and like I said, there's a 5-section rubric that looks at different aspects of it, like organization, information, quality of the visual, conventions of speech when they're doing the presentation, stuff like that, and then that's ranked from 1 to 4, and then all of that's tallied together, divided, and as long as you reach a certain threshold, then you have satisfactorily completed what you need to do.
Okay. So what are some examples of projects that you've seen that were successful?
We've seen a lot of interesting ones. Like I said, we've had a person who did an entire benefit to raise money for a particular health issue that she was actually facing. We've had students that have come from other countries, talk about their country, their experience in the United States, things like that. We've had people that are, let's say, involved in like firefighting have talked about their experience as a firefighter and whatnot. What the most interesting topics come from students that are doing something that has a personal personal importance to them. So, there's been lots of very interesting topics. Just so many of them to go through. But again, the personal ones are the ones that I get the most comments on from the teacher evaluators that, I really saw an interesting one on this. The person really knew what they were talking about and things like that.
Right. So what are the consequences for not completing your project?
Well, obviously the biggest consequence is you don't graduate.
Right.
And we definitely don't want it to get to that point. So we put in a couple of things ahead of time to keep the incentive there, because sometimes it seems even in senior year that graduation is a long way off. However, senior prom is not, nor is banquet. So the carrot is, the paper needs to be in by December 8th. If it's not in by then you lose the senior banquet. If the paper doesn't get in after that point and by the end of January, then you lose both banquet and prom. And I'm pleased to say that over the years, we haven't needed to do that to very many students because, these things are important. They want to participate in senior activities and they want to get this done. So compliance has not been an issue.
Yeah, it's a good. So as a sophomore, I'm required to take the Keystones.
Yes.
And it's a graduation requirement. So will the Keystones replace the project?
Well, the way that the Chapter 4 regulations, which again, subsection 24 is the one that covers all graduation requirements that school districts have to make sure students fulfill in order to be issued a diploma. And you are correct, as a sophomore, class of 2017, the Keystone requirement for graduation goes into effect. At the same time, the graduation project requirement that is written in currently is scratched out. It does not exist. However, that does not mean that students will not have to do the same or a similar project, because any school can have its own local requirements in order to do graduation, to meet the criteria for graduation. So whether it continues in exactly the same format, if it is combined with existing papers and projects that are done in English or other classes, I don't know. Those are still discussions that are going on. So yes, you're right in the sense that as far as the Commonwealth is concerned, it is not written in anymore as a graduation requirement. Starting with the sophomore class of 2017, Keystones become the requirement in order to get the diploma, and then whatever, if you don't pass Keystones, then the projects and all that stuff that's built in. However, like I said, discussions are how do we keep this important component in place for students, again, to be able to demonstrate their skills as far as expression verbally and verbally in presentations and in written part. I think it might become something where it's rolled into another existing project, or it exists maybe as a part of a class. I don't know. Those things are still in the works.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just that we want all our seniors to get those papers in Monday, December 8th to me in the library. Get it in, then we'll review it, get it checked off, and you'll be good to go to do your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
I'm Tori Purcell, and I'm here with Mr. Schmalbach to talk about the upcoming graduation project. Make sure you get that turned in. Now back to the Eagle's Eye.